Hey people, I'm here with a friend from Poland. She's Irena. My friend Zdenek from Learn English Online told me to interview her because he said she would have wonderful stories to tell about English teaching. Irena, welcome to my channel. Be
Thank you very much.
welcome. Why do you like English and languages so much?
My name is Irena. So what I do, I teach English. Occasionally I teach French as well. So I think basically each language is like a different way of thinking. And I think you can really get closer to people when you get to know their language. So that's why I love learning languages a lot.
I am curious now, how many languages do you speak?
Well, Polish is my native language, and English, I guess I speak pretty well. I speak French as well, Spanish, I would say intermediate Italian and Portuguese, and some Czech, basically. Yeah.
You didn't tell me you speak Portuguese. Which Portuguese do you speak? Portuguese, or Brazilian Portuguese?
I think kind of both, actually. I tried to do these two courses at the same time, which maybe sounds a little bit crazy, but I was curious about both variations. Right? Well, I started teaching English in 2007 and French in 2009. Basically, I would say over 10 years with a 1 year break in between.
And how could you differentiate the teaching of both French, English? Which do you like most?
Well, I studied French at the university. It was actually my favorite language at the time. But English, I kind of was forced to learn it first, and I think I just started appreciating it a little bit later. And especially when I saw the movie Shakespeare in Love. I don't know if you've ever seen it.
Yeah, with Gwyneth Paltrow. Yeah,
I really enjoyed it. But French was my favorite language. However, as my parents immigrated to Canada, and I basically lived in an English-speaking province, so I had to learn English. And I went to high school there, and eventually to the university, to a bilingual campus. But still, it was an English-speaking province, so I had my classes, some of them in English, most of them in French. And some of them in Spanish as well.
And when did you discover your passion for teaching?
Well, at the time when I finished my degree, I didn't really think of it as a viable option, really. When I had my daughter, I just discovered that I really enjoyed showing to her different things. And at the same time, since I moved back to Poland, I quickly realized that I wasn't going. Basically, it wasn't a good time to look for a job in the tourism industry, something that I used to do in Canada. I started thinking about, different career options, I guess.
Awesome.
And I decided to do the CELTA course, certificate in English language teaching to adults. I finished it in 2004. Then I went to study pedagogy as well. Elementary education. I specialized in elementary education and teaching English to young learners. And I started actually teaching in 2007.
Where did you study pedagogy? In Poland?
In Poland.
Yeah.
So I studied French and English in Canada with 1 year. In France. Pedagogy I studied in Poland.
I have to say, if you allow me, I have two friends from Poland, Ivana and Dr. Luke. His name is Lucas. I want to give a shout out to them, guys. I have this friend from Poland now. I saw something on the Discord server that drew my attention. You have a very nice thing going on with drawing with the people on Learn English Online. How does that work?
Daniel did an interview with me regarding my drawings because it's true that I dedicate actually a major part of my time to drawing and painting. This is something that maybe I can't really say that I can make a living out of it, but I still treat it very seriously in a way. So it's something very enjoyable, but it's also like a major activity for me. Since Daniel discovered it, he decided to do an interview about it with me, and That's how some people found out about it.
Yeah, I saw some of the drawings and they are really amazing. You're very talented, actually.
Thank you.
Yeah, because I can't draw anything. I am a differently abled person. I can't do much with my hands. When I see people doing things like drawings and things, my son likes to draw very much. My oldest son loves drawing. And when I saw your drawings, I said, she's a talent. Do you have any good lesson that you remember fondly from any of your students?
I think especially their passion for language, for the language, and maybe their perseverance as well. And it's very enjoyable to see them when, especially, they have some kind of, I would call it an interior obstacle that doesn't allow them really to communicate. It's very enjoyable to see them that they actually overcome this kind of shyness. When they go abroad, for example, on a trip, and I hear it, and they, tell me later on that they were actually able to communicate in English. It's especially something about, as a general rule, I wouldn't say that it concerns everyone, but I noticed that, for example, women, many times they are extremely shy. They are not necessarily less talented, but they are very, very shy about, possible mistakes that they can make and so on. And they often ask, for example, their partners, to make some arrangements in English, to do whatever is needed to do. They tell me, that after my lessons, they don't ask their partners, husbands, friends, and so on anymore, but they just, do it on their own. And this is a very satisfying feeling, and it kind of shows their courage as well.
My channel is basically for English learners. What advice would you give them to keep learning English?
What I usually emphasize is, developing your skills is obviously crucial, but I think it's also extremely important to realize what kind of resources you already have. People often tend to be very perfectionist and very self-conscious about, their mistakes. I always tell people you don't need to wait until you reach a C2 or C1 level to start communicating. But I also show them that you don't need to get stuck on one word, for example, that you have many options, to say the same thing. At least it's true with Polish students many times, that if they forget one word or one expression, they get stuck, they stop speaking.
Yeah.
So I ask them, for example, describe what you want to say, or let's think what other options you have. And actually they discover that they have all these resources, that they have enough vocabulary, that they already know enough, to keep on communicating at a very basic level, but it's still possible. And I think people need to realize it. And once they do, they become way more confident.
I totally agree with you on that take. Amazing. What is the good thing of being a non-native teacher?
I would say, fortunately, in Poland, it's not really a big deal. As far as I'm concerned, I've never had to face, this kind of question, or that maybe I'm not able to teach well enough just because I'm a non-native speaker.
Yeah.
At the same time, I'm not sure whether I may be treated as someone in between, not quite a native, but
near native,
close to native, just because I spent 9 years in Canada, and well, that's obviously visible in my CV. Many non-native teachers basically doing an excellent job. So I don't think it's such a huge deal in Poland, at least, fortunately. For learners, it's really something good. Just in front of you, there's a person who went through all these levels and the same difficulties that you are going through right now. I always tell my learners, the level you're at, I had to go through it as well. I started basically from the very basics, from zero practically. So I know what it feels like to be in exactly this place.
As non-native teachers, we get out of our comfort zone every day because we're not speaking our native language. We know what is hard for our students to learn. So we know exactly where they need focus, and we go and help them. Sometimes we use our native language to teach them. Yes, I personally do it. I say some things in Portuguese and I say, oh, let's go back to English now. So I don't waste much time trying to explain something in English that might take like 10, 15 minutes if I can explain that in 1 minute or two. Now we got to the part of the interview that everybody loves, the rapid round game. The most beautiful word in English for me is
flower.
My daughter is.
Such a different approach and sometimes such an untypical way of looking at things. I've just learned from her a lot.
Poland is.
Very interesting country, nice people as well. It's a very fascinating and sometimes frustrating mixture as well.
Drawing or languages?
For me, this is not a choice. Both are a necessity.
My favorite place in the world is?
Quebec City.
Now you asked me 5 questions. It's your turn.
Favorite book?
The Hate You Give.
And why?
There's the movie as well. It tells what we are going through right now. Discrimination, racism, everything that I fight against.
Something you look for in people you meet.
Quick thinkers and humbleness.
What's your take on bilingualism?
It's a passion because I love Portuguese. I love English.
Favorite place in Brazil?
I think my bedroom is my favorite place because it's been my companion for 1 year and 3 months since the pandemic started and my doctors asked me to be inside. Actually, I really love to be in my room because I work here. I meet new friends here. I feel productive here.
What do you think English as a language has that Brazilian Portuguese doesn't, and also vice versa?
When you speak English, you can communicate everywhere. Brazilian Portuguese is one of the most beautiful languages, but it's not much widespread. I think both are used for the main purpose in the world right now, which is communication. I think the sounding of Brazilian Portuguese is very beautiful. I think the rhythm and intonation of English are wonderful. I'm going to tell you the most beautiful word in Portuguese for me, which is saudade. That's a word not present in any other language.
And there's no equivalent.
If you're happy, you can feel saudade. If you're sad, you can feel saudade. If somebody dies, you feel saudade. If somebody's away from you, like in another city or in another country, you feel saudade. So it's a very beautiful word, but it's very difficult to explain. So it's in between missing and longing. That's what I can tell you about bilingualism. So my friend Irena, I think it was one of the coolest conversations that I've ever had. Please keep doing the great job that you're doing. Thank you very much for being here with me and sharing your experiences. Keep your way into arts. You're an artist.
And thank you for having me here.
You're so kind. People, I hope you have liked. This is another friend of mine from Poland. Bye-bye. Thank you so much.